the Jonty and Mac podcast.
This week's episode, I'm with co-host Mac.
How you doing, boys? How's things?
And we have John Cormac with us tonight, and this is going to be a very interesting wrestling episode. John is one of the founding members of Mainstage Wrestling, and also has been contributed to wrestling for over 10 years, John?
10 years, yeah.
Yeah, John, if you want to give us a bit of a backdrop about you and how you got into it, and we can just let it flow from there.
Yeah, well, first off, just want to thank yourselves for
No
having
worries,
me
man.
on.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here and to be welcomed into your home. And it means a lot just for someone to take their time out and just actually want to speak to you. That's always, for me, that's always a plus.
Yeah.
I think we don't do enough of it in today's world, just sit and have a chat.
100%, yeah.
I know we want to talk about wrestling tonight, and I started in wrestling about, I think it was, I can't remember, it was back in 2003 or 2004. And like the funny thing behind it was, when I was growing up, there was always football was pushed.
Yeah.
GAA or hurling, everyone went around with a hurling in their hand. Now I think they just did that because in case they got in a row.
They had
One of the reasons, anyway,
yeah.
One of the reasons I carried it.
I never had any interest in any of that. When I was 18 years old, I was arrested for a crime and I was put on remand in Clover Hill prison. And when they came out, I was on bail. And I just had to find something to do, and because I had no interest in hurling, and there's no interest in GAA or soccer or anything like that.
Yeah.
All I was ever interested in from a very young age was wrestling. All I watched was wrestling. I loved wrestling.
WWE.
You know what I mean? I loved it. I got up in the morning and I watched it. I was so engrossed in the characters. Growing up, my mother and father were separated and I never had a father figure, so I was just looking for that father figure.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was just all I did was just watch wrestling. And I had all the DVDs, I watched all the shows. My next door neighbour used to record the pay-per-views for me. I didn't have Sky Sports like the rich kids,
Yeah, not myself.
Not myself. We all had to Skype it somehow, yeah.
So I had the next door neighbour recording it for me, and they used to be knocking in, is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? Is it ready? Did you push record? You forgot to push record and I never got it.
And here, by the way, this is going on the VHS.
Yeah.
So if people don't know what that is, the cassette tape that you put in a video recorder has to be linked to the telly, and then he would eject it, and then I know this sounds a bit primitive, but
This is
people don't actually know what a VHS is, and then he would give it to John. John would go in and put it in his and watch it, and that's how we kept up to date, up to speed on stuff.
And if you remember, you used to have to press record and play on some of them.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Sorry, John. Yeah.
So that's how long back wrestling was for me, and I just used to love it, and I was like, nowhere does this in Ireland.
Yeah.
Nobody did it, and I just put a web search in one time, just looking for a wrestling school in Dublin, and I found one in Inchicore of all places, literally just a stone throw away from where I live.
I never heard of that either. Yeah.
It was called Celtic Pro Wrestling was the name of it.
Fucking news to me.
Celtic Pro, yeah.
Yeah, and it was led by the head instructor down there was a man named Blake Norton, who was a reporter who had studied in the Hart Dungeon in Canada.
No way.
The Bret Hart one?
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's a legendary place.
Yeah, so he'd set up, it wasn't much, it was a ring that couldn't be set up high because it would hit the ceiling, because the place we had rented was so small.
Yeah, it was tiny, yeah.
It was literally a shed, probably about the size of this room we're in, with a ring in it.
That's the ceiling probably the same height.
Yeah, the ring, basically the ring was made to be on ground level, and then when the show came you could hire it up and put it out for a hall. And we learned how to wrestle in the shed in Inchicore. That's where it all started.
Wow.
And I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but if you walk down the back lanes in Inchicore, you'll see that each house has its own kind of. There's a house, a garden, and then there'll just be like a little shed at the end of the garden.
Yeah.
So the man was basically renting the shed
in the back of someone's
Is
car.
that near the CIE works, would it be?
Close enough.
Yeah, I think I know the gardens about it,
Yeah, because most of them would have decent big back gardens.
Yeah.
That's where it started for me, and I was just crazy when I found it. You know, there was your man. He used to operate on a Saturday and Sunday. He used to do 6 classes. Each class was 2 hours long. So he'd start in the morning. There'd be a beginners class, an advanced class, and a match class.
Yeah.
Basically. And when I started, I was only allowed to do beginners, but pretty soon I got the invitation into the other 2 classes. And all I used to do was, like, most people would come down and do 1 class and go. But I was so hooked on it, I used to come down and do the 6 hours. I used to do 3 classes, Saturday and Sunday.
That's why he invited you in.
Yeah. And then I used to just live for when it was going to open again, you know. That just became my purpose.
Because you only had 2 days a week, was it?
Yeah, he was only open on a Saturday and Sunday.
So you basically just had to get what you could, and that was it for the rest of the week.
Because he lived in Cork, so he used to travel up just to do the classes.
What, really?
What a dedicated man.
What an animal,
What was his name again?
Blake Norton was his name.
Blake
He went
Norton.
He went on to actually be a presenter on RTE, believe it or not, on some shows, and then I'm not sure what he's at now, but he was very alive. I think he was at the end of his own wrestling days, and he just wanted to branch off into some sort of media, you know, and he ended up departing then. A couple of years after we joined, he ended up selling the school on to another fella named Brian Griffin.
He probably just wasn't able to keep going on it.
No, he just initially
Burnt out.
I don't even think he was burnt out. I just think he just planned it. He got the slot on RTE.
Oh, then,
And that was it. That took his time over.
And that's a big move. That's a good move.
Yeah, so we got to start there, and off he went, and the school was taken over by a lad named Brian Griffin. He was actually the referee of the shows when we first started.
Right.
You know, and it's funny about Brian, because Brian was bigger than most of the wrestlers. You know, he was like 6 foot tall and as wide as, you know, he like back in, you can only imagine one of the major things that lacked in the Irish scene of wrestling was physiques, you know, and and at the amateur level they lacked, you know, and Brian was like 6 foot tall, he had long hair, and he was like built like a rugby player. Right. He was the referee. He never had any interest in wrestling, but he
just wanted to be the ref.
Yeah, in the ring, and the ref would be like
center of the show, probably.
No, the ref would be. You got 2 wrestlers, probably 5'1", 5'5", and the other 5'8", and then
he'd be
6 foot towering over him, you know. So he used to be he got the fancy, and he bought the school and took it over, and things just rolled on. We had our, I don't know if you know, Good Counsel GAA club.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah. Been to it many times.
That was like our Madison Square Garden.
They did put on a good lot of shows there. That's right. Yeah, you used to see them advertised around the area and stuff like that.
That was like we lived for that place. There used to be a show probably every 6 weeks. You know.
Were they one of the first people to give you a break to actually set up your events in there?
Being honest, they were probably the only place we tried, because number one, we were in Inchicore, and
it was just close proximity.
And there's a lovely fella in there, the manager, Ollie is his name, the gentleman. I couldn't deal with a better man.
So you were lucky in that part.
Supportive, and that's what you want.
Yeah, he wasn't out to rip you off or to, you know, he was just a gentleman.
No, I was just thinking, because like back then, like the wrestling would have been like, that's, you know, the parents would have watched the kids watching it on a Saturday morning, and be honest about it, back in 2000, more than likely they were probably in bed dying of a hangover on a Saturday anyway. So the kid, well, from my perspective, you used to go downstairs and just turn on SmackDown or Raw. So it was Raw on first before SmackDown, I think. Raw before SmackDown, but just to finish my point, I was thinking, like, if you walked into a hall and said, like, hey, listen, we're this Irish wrestling scene and we want to do a show here, some people would be like, get the fuck out of here. You're not setting that up in here.
Are you going to jump off ropes?
What, wrestling? What's that? You rolling around the floor or something? So, it's cool that guy, like...
All that really mattered to him was that you were insured. You know, you had your insurance.
Okay,
you had your insurance, and he got a copy of it, and everything was above board. He was happy enough to let you go, you know.
That's the way, that's the way. Fucking a lot of people just they add on these things. Oh, you must do this, or maybe it's not gonna look good for the audience. Give the fucking thing a chance, like Jesus Christ, like.
It must be tough, like people probably won't understand, because when they arrive to your show, right, you have everything set up. But what goes through how hard it must be just to get like the whole area set up. Even things like just putting tape on to get the curtains up, or like what's that?
The
What's it
background,
like?
the
What's it
back-
like? What's
yeah,
it like
what's
setting
the
the
setup?
scene up?
There's a bit of event management skills.
Yeah.
A very high level one as well.
Before I bring you there, I'll jump back to where we were when your man Brian kind of took over.
Yeah.
And Brian, basically there was a bit of trouble brewing, you know. There was a lad from America came in with the name of CJ Summers, and he basically swooped the school out from underneath Brian.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah,
and there was a divide then on the Irish scene, and you had some of the talent went with Brian and some of the talent went with your man CJ, you know. So there was real kind of drama, as you call it. I wouldn't even call it drama. We were so low, we were so only playing on such a small level, you know. But
Like
anyhow,
Cobra Kai or something.
Yeah.
It's fractioned off, yeah.
it's kind of it just shows you how humans operate. They'll always find something to argue about, you know. So it's just like such over something so small, like they all divided. And being honest, I'll be honest with you, I was at the time the divide happened. I was in like a rehab centre getting myself clean, you know. So I had a drink and drug problem, and when I came back from the rehab centre, I landed into the middle of this kind
Of
of
just the
drama.
madness that was going on.
Yeah, they ended up just going with the American guy because he had a school, he had a ring, and he was running shows, and the other fella didn't have anything. So it wasn't that personal. It was
No, it was just he had his affairs in order.
It was a business decision, and one
Yeah.
yeah.
So the long story short, then we ended up swooping the club out from underneath the American fella. Then
So what is this? Some sort of boomerang thing?
This is cutthroat shit, man. Keep it coming.
well, what happened was
Yeah.
it wasn't like we did anything bad, to be honest. I know it sounds like that, but the
Yeah.
American guy basically paid none of his bills and went back to America, and no one heard anything from him.
Yeah, alright.
So what, he just took some cash, or did he?
No, the school it was still down in Inchy Car, and he wouldn't give the landlord the money.
Okay,
He was
yeah.
making the money, but he wasn't giving it to the landlord. He had his girlfriend posting him the money rather than paying the landlord.
Right.
So we were just training in there one day, and the landlord came in and came to me looking for cash, and I was like, I'm not in charge. I said, I just opened
let's open the door,
you know. And he was like, if we don't get cash, we're gonna lock everything in here, you know. If we don't get the money I'm owed, I'm gonna lock this place up, and you'll get none of the gear out of it. So myself and a friend of mine, Lenny, we just had a chat, and we said, you know what, maybe we can open our own school and start our own promotion. But we have to, if we're going to do it, we have to act quick.
Yeah.
So
I
we
know
got
this is going to be gone.
Get a truck and
So
that's
we got
all
a van. We got a van down. We rented a van down, and we loaded the whole school into the back of the van. The way we went, you know, just blocked the landlord's number.
In the middle of the night, he just
flew in and
Brilliant.
took everything, and
Absolutely brilliant.
we brought
and
him
left
over.
him steaming.
Yeah, well, we didn't owe him the money. His contract wasn't with us.
Yeah,
you
it was
know?
nothing to do with
Yeah.
you. Yeah, you just wanted to keep what you had going.
Yeah.
That's fair play to you, yeah. I think, yeah.
So we brought it over to Sundray Road in Crumlin. That's where main stage wrestling started. We, you know, there was a guy with me, his name was Leonard Hanna was his name, and he was top man, A1, like, he's actually, he has a gym now over in Culmore Road, like, he's opened his own gym, the personal trainer, like.
Yeah. I think Fit Links it's in, yeah.
Now, he's a gentleman, and he's like probably the hardest working man you'll ever meet in your life. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think I'd been able to run things. You know, he was just so organised.
Yeah. He was
So-
diligent, yeah.
He was all the pictures and posters you were seeing were designed by him. All
Really,
the-
yeah?
He was like a workhorse, and he just
And those posters are very good.
Yeah.
Like when you consider if that guy didn't have any like design background,
he was
they actually
using
look quite good.
Microsoft Paint is what he was using.
Yeah.
What,
You'd be
really?
surprised how
Microsoft
effective it
Paint?
is.
That's what he was using. Yeah.
What a legend, man.
Yeah, and he was just like, so I partnered up with him, and we kind of had a family of us. There was me, there was Lenny, there was the two boys, Lee and Terence. They were from Terence Walden, he actually lives in America now, and Lee O'Brien, he lives down in Fatima.
Alright.
We were like a family, like
Yeah,
Mark
yeah.
Hogan, another lad. We just like, we all gelled together and worked well together, and it was just a team effort just to get the place open, you know, and that's what we did. We did everything we could. We assigned ourselves. Lee and Lenny would sit down, and come up with a plan. And
These were the architects.
Yeah, we'd assign little jobs to everyone, and when everyone worked together,
The shows
So
happens.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's
And you need that as well. If you don't
how-
have that, you can't have organisation.
No, you can't do everything on your
No,
own.
it's impossible. Yeah,
Yeah.
you just burn out, and not only that, like you could make mistakes as well. You need to give people stuff that's there with you.
Yeah, so that's how it all started, and we started in the back of the stone boat there, and
I know the pub. Yeah.
yeah. The facility we got was a lot nicer. You know, it was a lot more. Had a high roof for a start, which means you could set the ring up in it properly. We could hang weight.
Yeah.
We could put weights in it, and
And you could train exactly like the way you would on a show.
yeah, and that's how like we started off. That was my journey. It's the start of my journey into Irish wrestling.
Who come up with the name?
Which name? Was
Main
that?
stage.
The main stage.
I think Lenny and Mark came up with that.
Mark
We were
Owen.
brainstorming.
It's a good name, mate.
We were brainstorming and nobody could agree on anything, and then they just came up with it. And I was a bit of a perfectionist at the time, where I'd be giving out about everything. I just got to the point where I was so burnt out. I was like, use what you want.
Just pick whatever you want.
Yeah. But they were just, you just came up with it, and like, I think it actually came from. Do you remember Oxygen? There was the main stage. Oxygen.
Yes,
That's exactly where it came from. Yeah.
Actually, I never went to Oxford.
No, no, boy.
I don't know why, I just never did, but I know it was the major thing back then. But yeah, they did have the main stage for like whoever was going to be up on it. Yeah. It's good. It's a good name, mate, because it stands out in people's minds.
Yeah, main stage wrestling. I remember seeing the posters we were talking about in Good Counsel, and I was like, oh man, I never went to any of the shows. I listen to me, I was like,
Get rid of him.
Yeah.
get rid of him. I always wanted to go. I'll tell you a story, it's a true story, right? I always wanted to go, right? And I didn't have the money at the time, this, that and the other, and I wasn't asking people for money. But I remember a few of the lads went down to one of the shows, right? Now correct me if I'm wrong, okay? One of me mates, right? Probably one of the man's passes, I know, okay?
You're talking about my brother.
Yes. I didn't want to mention that.
well.
You know well, right?
Don't show you that.
Right, so the next,
Another
about a
wrestling
week
young-
later, okay, I heard this story, and I heard that, I never remember what Steele did. He goes, Steele was in the crowd, right, and no one said anything, right? He said, someone there said, oh, I might go in there, and he's not sure, and I'll go and fucking give him a shot, right? So
I don't think
apparently,
it was shot. I think it was just the fact that
He
it
just
was
wanted
his
to do it.
boyhood dream
yeah, to be a wrestler.
to throw a chair
what
in
he
and
done-
jump into
yeah,
the ring.
What he
like, that
done,
was it.
John, was grab the chair from the crowds, thrown in the ring like a proper wrestler, crawled in, right? Got the chair and started smacking two blokes.
He didn't. He the chair he threw in was for effect. We jumped in and he jumped up and done like an axe onto his back. And your man turned around and went,
Who the fuck are you?
"What are you doing in the ring?"
Throw him out.
Grabbed him by the throat and threw him out. Yeah, that's his.
That's a
claim
true
to
story.
fame, yeah.
Yeah, well, I know I'm laughing, but I can tell you now from what I know is he was lucky he didn't get
Imagine.
slapped off him, because the way wrestling works is anyone who enters into the ring who shouldn't be there is, you automatically assume they're a threat.
Yeah.
Of course,
you
yeah.
know?
And trying to possibly ruin the show as well.
Yeah. So
Not that he wasn't. He's just a like that bloke does wrestling. They used to do things where they used to have like thorn bush matches and all years ago, where they'd have like a joint ladder and suplex each other into a joint thorn bush and all. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you
I
there.
know what you're talking about, the backyard wrestling.
Yeah, that's what they used to do.
Yeah. I know all about it, but like the great thing about us was when we started off is we were the underdogs and nobody thought we could do anything.
Yeah.
There were other promotions around and they were kind of like, oh, them lads have started something, they won't last, you know.
Yeah.
Nobody thought we could do it, and then like I'd say within 2 or 3 years we were running shows regularly and filling them with 200-300 people, which is massive for.
And when would you say that was?
small
Like
Irish
2006, when the good days were in, or
No,
further on?
it was after the crash.
Oh, so you're going after 10.
Fair play.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
after the crash. I think main stage was only founded in 10.
Oh yes.
To be honest with you, I had lost my job. With nothing else going for me, so I just
Like a lot of people
Yeah,
in the same boat as well.
took a chance kind of running just promoting.
Yeah.
And we weren't making Vince McMahon money, but it was enough to keep the wolf away from the door.
Yeah,
you know, that
yeah,
type of way.
yeah. And that probably even that probably even bonded us closer together, because you actually said this is actually helping us out, and it's also something that we're very passionate about as well.
And you have to make a success out of it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Choice, really.
Yeah, you have to put everything into it. This is what you want. But obviously, if you were filling, what did you say, 200, 300? If you were getting that many people in the GDA hall, for example, then obviously the efforts you're putting in were paying off.
Yeah, but it's like you're getting 300 people off a poster promotion, you know.
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
like we were.
There was no like
You
this
know,
this
and flyers
Facebook,
out.
internet.
Yeah.
Well, there probably was.
It wasn't
It
as
wasn't
effective.
effective,
The marketing side of it wouldn't have been
Wouldn't
as
have been as
effective.
rough. No,
It was pretty much like the circus rock up in town.
Yeah.
And you
Put
put them on
posters
the
around the
poles
place,
in
yeah.
shops and all
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's where
That's like you probably like you.
But that's probably still the best form of fucking getting out there.
But when you think about it, right? Like you're talking about what, €15 a ticket by 300 people. You're talking about it's $4.5 grand. And when you look at the budget we had, which was probably only about €500, the turnover $4.5 grand off
That's
€500
incredible.
was.
Yeah.
You'll have expenses on top of that as well,
Yeah.
like your insurance and whatever.
Would that be
else,
included in the 500?
Oh, would it? Yeah,
on a
right, yeah.
shoestring budget.
Yeah, Jesus.
No.
So you were literally just you're making a good killing out of it.
Yeah.
Doing well.
Like, we were-
When you consider how bad times were back then.
Yeah.
Whoever remembers them, I do personally.
Yeah, sure. It's what kept us going, to be honest. I think if a lot of us hadn't got it, we probably don't know what we would have ended up
Yeah,
doing.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
It's just,
So it was a godsend as well.
yeah, well, like that's as you say, God. There, I was only thinking in my head. It was like God's providence, man, because it looked like it couldn't be done, and any time we needed money, we got it. Anytime we needed a venue, we got like anything we needed came last minute.
Yeah. When you're at the point where you're like,
Yeah.
we can't get this done, and then bang, something would kick in.
Yeah, because when I was in a Catholic rehab centre and it operated on God's providence, which means they wouldn't take any money for food or clothes or anything. We believed God would send them what they needed, and we'd be sitting at the breakfast table, you know, load of about 12 addicts sitting around the breakfast table with dry cereal, you know, because there was no milk. And just as we were about to put the spoon in, there'd be a bang on the door and 20 cans of milk would be left at the door.
Jesus.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or we'd have no clothes. Like, let's say we were there was a couple of lads who had extra large trousers and there was only medium in the locker.
Yeah.
And just as they were wearing out the last pair, the shipment of extra large trousers would arrive. So it's like anything, like everything just arrived as it was needed.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the way that, and that's the. I can always see that transcended into my own life now. You usually think the next thing it arrives.
That's it. That's the
It's
difference.
a good way of looking at life as well. Yeah.
That's the way the wrestling was.
If you're any weaker of a character or didn't have that belief in your own ability and didn't have that commitment to it, people would walk away at that stage. And before you know it, things happen like shit when they stick at it. You know what I mean?
I had no belief. I was a good blagger.
Well, yeah. Fair enough. No,
I used to be like, I can't believe these are playing this.
No, a commitment to what your passion was.
Yeah, well, we all held ourselves. We all held.
Yeah, you had a good poker face.
Held each other up, like on the day, my bad day, Lenny was strong, and Lenny's bad day, I was strong, and both of their bad days, someone else was strong. You know? There's always a thing.
That's the good thing about having a unit of lads that are all into the same thing.
Yeah.
If one is down, the other fucking picks the other person up. Because the show must go on, as they say.
Yeah.
And that's it, no matter how you feel.
If you committed to selling fucking 300 tickets, people want the show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Regardless of whatever you're feeling that day, you just gotta do it.
We went from being told we'd be gone in a couple of months to having training skills with close to 60, 70 people rocking down every week.
Yeah.
You know?
And I've seen the videos, man. They are bleeding shit.
Yeah. You do everything there.
Yeah, well, we did. We anything we had, we offered. We didn't hold that back from anyone. We gave everyone an opportunity.
They got their money's worth when they went in there.
Yeah, like the skill was structured on. You see, if you want to be a wrestler, you know, like you're John, I'm John O'Reilly. You walk into a place and you want to be a wrestler. You know, there's lots of aspects to being a wrestler that people don't really get. You know, and the first one that stands out is what's your physique like. Yeah. What's your fitness level like? Number one, you need to be strong and to have muscle because you're gonna get seriously injured if you're not built. And number two is nobody wants to pay €15 a ticket to watch their next door neighbour.
You have to have character.
Yeah, but you know, like to what, like your next door, like you think your next door neighbour beer belly cutting the grass, you know?
No, yeah.
Nobody wants to go to a show to see some beer belly guy.
No, that's
no matter what their ability is. So the first thing when you walk in is like, how committed, if you're not in shape, how committed are you to getting in shape? You know, now everyone got a tryout, but the only people who made it to the shows were the people who trained and were committed
and
to
kept going, pushing through.
The second aspect of it is how are you speaking? You know,
that I think would be tough. That would be the physical part for me would be tough, but I definitely think that the speaking part would be
your stage presence.
I just even talk and think that would be very tough for me.
We all work, like it is tough for people, but we all work, like what we did in main stage was every other wrestling school was just offering wrestling training. We were offering personal training and workouts.
So you were being a bit you were being a bit dynamic by
showing people how to talk and how to speak.
Yeah. No, but you were actually doing like fitness side of it as well, and then the encouragement was to jump in on it, try the rest. Yeah, it's good. It's good way of doing it.
We gave a whole experience at main stage, which is something other skill. Even the skill I started off in didn't do. The lads were getting personal training and from people. Like I was qualified in fitness from college, like a college degree, like so they were getting for the price of their €10 training. They were getting personal training. They were getting nutrition sheets. They were being taught how to speak, how to do. To speak, character developments, how to wrestle, you know, kind of from beginner to intermediate to
full package.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, like a lot of people who go to a trainer, they get trained, then they go to a nutritionist to get like their diet plan sorted. Whereas you guys were giving them the whole whack and the wrestling in the one place.
The character, character building.
So that's what we did, and we went from having 6 shows a year to having 20 or 24 shows a year, you know, and just doing something that very other promotions on our level now. There was always bigger promotions out there. Other promotions that were on our level could not fill seats the way we had seats filled. You know.
Was that just because your show, the way you put it on, or
it was a bit of both? Number one, we were really good at what we did, and number two, we worked hard. See, a lot of people don't realise it's not the wrestling alone that brings people in. It's handing out flyers, sticking up posters, talking to people like this, going on shows and doing press and, you know, getting slots. Like at one stage, I have a friend of mine, he owns Easy Living Furniture in Galway. He actually lent me the truck that he advertised the furniture on. He actually lent me one of them to put the show on it and drove it around town with the.
That's a great idea. That's exactly what the buses do.
Guerrilla marketing.
Yeah,
it was great. We were like, personally, I was just a chancer who got lucky on it.
Yeah, that's what everyone did. Yeah, that's what everyone did.
Just a chancer. It wasn't that I was a super promoter or super businessman. It was just a chancer.
But it doesn't take much to do it.
Everyone has to take a chance at the end of the day.
You just have to apply yourself, apply a bit of common sense. Well, if I was a wrestling fan, I seen that, would that make me buy a ticket? And if not, why not? And then just start going from there. It doesn't take a fucking these Harvard degree marketing fucking analysis to be able to sell, make a poster, and know what people want to watch. So it doesn't take that. Just take someone that goes out there. Listen, I have a product. You don't want to buy it, or you don't.
Well,
simple as that.
One of the things that kind of pushed sales for us is it's such a simple thing, but I never thought about it. Was my friend who owned Easy Living said it to me. He said, as people are leaving the show, and this is back before the days of Facebook. He said, get their name and their number. He says, you know they're interested because they're at the show.
And keep
send
that
message and
that's a great idea.
You know, and
that's how you're building the audience and community.
Lenny had a great idea of pre-sale tickets with entertainment.ie, you know. He was the big that, you know. it's just like, it's bringing me back thinking about it. But I used to be on double duty on shows because I used to be performing and promoting. You know, so I used to be with you. Like, doing a show there's a lot of work involved in
Can
a
only
show.
imagine.
From getting the ring, like, you have the venue for the day. You know, in Ireland, like, we're lucky enough to have the venue for the day. Sometimes you only have it for a couple of hours, you know,
Yeah,
you're really on a
yeah.
budget. We'd always get it for the day, and it would involve everyone turning up to load the ring in, getting it to the venue, setting the ring up. This is what you were asking me about earlier.
Yeah.
Setting the ring up. Another thing we introduced that nowhere else really did was we had guardrails around the ring. That really made it. You know?
Yeah.
Like
That gave it the look to it.
Yeah.
We guardrails. We got these silver guardrails and we sprayed them black. And it's like, and we got these mats to lay around the outside of the ring as well. And we just added to things like simple things that other promotions never did. We began to do, you know, like, so we had enough storage around the store guardrails. So we invested in, say, 14 guardrails which would go around the ring, you know, and it really sets apart the talent from the audience.
Of course,
barrier.
Because
you know, your mate wouldn't be jumping in.
No, you probably be caught before he gets to the ring.
Not only that, like, it lets people, like, it lets people understand that, like, the show is inside here, and that's where the wrestlers are going to be performing. Plus, they're going to be interacting with the people, but from the barrier. I like the way.
So we, like, a show day, typical show day would involve everyone meeting up.
What time would you start at?
Early in the morning. Oh, it depends on where you were travelling to. If you're only travelling to Inchy Car and the show time wasn't until 7 or 8 in the evening, you wouldn't have to. You'd start about 9 or 10, say.
Right, okay,
You get the ring down and you'd set it up.
That's the hardest part of the ring, isn't it?
See, it was real difficult because sometimes it would piece together easily and you'd be sitting there at one relaxed, and other times Murphy's Law would happen. Anything that would go wrong would go wrong.
Missing bolts here, there, or whatever.
Something would always go.
Yeah.
You'd be running around in a panic looking for the stupidest item on a Saturday when everywhere's closed.
And you'd need that.
Yeah.
Or you wouldn't be able to go for it.
So you'd always have the stress and the panic, and now we get the ring set up, the chairs set out, the guardrails set around. You'd want everybody to get into their gear, you know. Lads who are performing on the show to be there by 3 o'clock and no later, you know.
Yeah.
You'd have the photo shoots, you know, lads in their gear getting photo shoots done, pre-record promos, or if you're making the DVD, you need the camera set up, you need
the lighting.
And all these positions require a person to operate them.
Of course,
you know?
yeah.
So it was really, like, there was a lot involved, and then come probably 9 o'clock at night or 9:30 when everyone's wrecked, all that has to be brought back. Everything has to be taken down, brought back, you know. So there's a lot of work goes into it.
And obviously, like, there's a lot. You had the lighting and everything at the show, so it was all the effects and all that had to be put up.
See, Lenny was amazing at creating. Lenny'd always find a way. Lenny'd watch something and then he'd figure out how to put it
Really,
show, you know. So Lenny got the lighting, and he got the smoke machines, and he got. Lenny was amazing at that stuff. You know, like, I would have never come to that stuff, but Leonard would go away and he'd watch another show and
go, I like that
idea. How do I get that at an affordable rate? And he'd always come back. He'd come to me and he'd say, I found these smoke machines for X amount of money, will we get them? And I'd be like,
let's do it.
Yeah. Because you have to add it. You have to. You know, you want to give the best impression of the event that you can. And you want to be constantly wowing that crowd here. Boys,
and that as well, like you have like, obviously if you have competitors doing the same thing, so you know, you don't, if they have something that's outstanding, like, what kind of, not you want to be the same as them, but you want to be able to say, like, that was a great idea, like we can add that to our show as well, or whatever, like.
Yeah, we always were friendly with everyone. Like, there was a couple of wrestling schools at the time that if you weren't in them, you were nothing, you know, they wouldn't even entertain you.
Yeah.
We were always friendly. We always invited talent from other schools
to come over.
We always made friends with other promoters, and at the end of the day, that pushed us forward, you know. There was a promotion around at the time, a good friend of mine runs called the AWR. Two of the promoters, there was a number of promoters from all parts of the country and sometimes in the UK, and they used to put a budget together to hire WWE superstars whose contracts had just expired in the WWE to get them in to do shows.
Yeah.
And what we'd do is we'd be on good terms with them people, and they'd just say to us, look, we have Scotty Too Hotty available on there.
Scotty Too Hotty, man. What a legend.
So they'd come to us and they'd say, look, Scott is around, you know, and if you want to use him, he's going to be sitting around in Ireland for. He's not due to fly to the UK till Tuesday. He's available if you want to use him for that show you have on
Amazing,
Saturday
man.
night.
Yeah.
So you'd end up getting him for not too expensive. He wouldn't be too expensive because it would be like an added, like for him, you know, terms of never Nixer.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he's doing. Yeah, he's doing a Nixer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
doing a Nixer. Like there's a show in Tally, you know, and we'd always get enough time to promote it properly. So I think the first show we had in St. Mark's GAA Club in Talla with Scotty, we had Scotty Too Hotty. I think we had him a couple of times, but the first show we had him, something like 600 or 700 people.
No way.
Yeah, which was
No
like
way.
double.
Yeah. What you were used to. Yeah.
It's just like there was no room to sit people. People had to stand. Like the hall could only hold about 500.
They all
So it
rocked
was
up.
jam packed.
Just for Scotty Too Hotty.
Yeah,
That's
well,
brilliant, isn't it?
well, I wouldn't say it was just for him, but
Yeah.
it was just, like we had our original 200-300 people that came to see us
Like,
all
yeah,
the time,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
Scotty dragged.
Another 2 or 3, whatever.
Yeah. So it was like,
Just elevated.
You know, the first time that you had that show with Scotty on, was there a thing for you like saying, lads, was your heart beating, like, is it like, right, we've got this amount of people in, we've got Scotty in, look where we're at right now.
yeah, like it was a big step for us. Like,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like, Must have got you as adrenaline, like, you must have been firing on all
It
cylinders.
was a nice kind of reward for
Yeah.
the hard work, and like it was great because when you get someone like Scott, you get his real name is Garland, Scott Garland. When you get someone like him over, you can kind of say, right, what you do is you get you do the double, right, and the double basically is you get a seminar and a show. So Scotty gives you a price for a seminar and a show. And if you have as many trainees as we have, you'll cover Scott with a seminar. So you charge people to do a seminar with Scott.
Yeah.
That's his money. He
That's
gets the
his
show, that's your money.
Brilliant,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everyone's doing it.
Yeah. So it's like just when we got him, like I think I was woken by a phone call by Lenny going, just to let you know, we have a chance to use Scotty if you're interested, you know.
Right.
You know, that type of way.
Yeah.
That's how relaxed and laid back we kind of were, you know, and that'll show you how humble Lenny was. He didn't just go, yes, he came and he asked us before he even.
Of course,
you know.
yeah.
So
He didn't just take over and say,
No.
Scotty's coming in tonight,
Yeah.
and that's it.
No, because like Lenny was so humble and nice. Like another lad would say, I got Scotty, this is my money, you know, and really egotistical. But Lenny was real. Or Lenny could have even said, John, I'm gonna run a show on my own, is that alright? And I say, yeah, and then come 2 weeks later, just to let you know I've got Scotty for myself, you know.
Yeah,
He didn't do that, he offered them to us all, you know. So he was just a gentleman.
That kind of adds then like to the better product. Everyone's available. Yeah, so everyone's on the same. Yeah, honesty is the best policy, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
It really is.
What you put out is what you eventually, especially in the wrestling world, is what
Yeah.
you get back, you know.
Yeah, because
Wrestling is built on, like, the first thing you learn when you come into the door of a wrestling school is that it's built on respect.
Of course, yeah.
You know,
Same,
everyone
yeah.
shakes hands when you meet, says hello, everybody shakes hands, says thank you when they're gone. You know, and it's built on respect, and if you don't have respect, you won't last in wrestling.
Of course,
The
yeah.
word will go out there that this performer has no respect, and pretty soon nobody will hire you, nobody will want to work with you.
Yeah.
Before you know it, you'll just be some lad sitting on the sidelines all the time wondering
What happened to me?
what happened to me.
Yeah, never made it.
That's sad if someone actually ended like that and didn't realise what actually did happen to them.
Yeah, but I think you're told, I don't know how nobody would know, because you're told on your first day there that this business is built on respect.
Yeah.
You know, that not one.
That's your foundation,
Yeah,
into
well,
it.
no matter how big one man is, he can't wrestle himself.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, you need that.
Yeah.
You need that.
Two lads can't wrestle without a ref. You know,
And then-
they can't come to the ring without a ring announcer. You know,
Yeah.
the photographs don't take themselves, the lighting doesn't hang itself, the guardrails don't set themselves up, you know. So the guy stacking guardrails is as important to the show as the guy main
Of course,
event,
yeah.
you know.
It's a team effort.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're the main man coming in on the show,
Yeah.
the bloke who's, as you just said, is sticking out the guardrails or taking people's tickets when they come in is just as important, because that's how the show goes on.
Yeah, it's just as important as anything, because if nobody doing them little jobs, you don't have the show.
Yeah.
You know, so the guy in the main event, as a promoter, I'd be sitting back to see as he walk in this hall shaking all their hands and thanking them. You know, because that's what it's built on. It's built on respect and knowing that you can't do this alone. You need the guy doing the guardrails, you need the guy announcing, you need the referee.
It's good to know that you were like basically just, without saying that, you'd be keeping an eye out to see.
Like a hawk would be
Yeah.
watching
Hawk,
everything.
yeah.
Just sitting there.
Come here, John, I asked you, are you happy with the evolution of Irish wrestling at the moment? Because there is some really big stars coming out of Ireland now recently, and
Any star that's come out of Ireland now, like, more than likely personally know them.
yeah.
You know, and if they're the people I know, they're amazing people and they deserve everything they've done. You know, and there's a promotion OTT out there now.
Over the top,
It's run by another friend of mine, and you know they deserve everything they've gotten. You know, they're hard working, put in 100%. You know, and they deserve
Tough
everything.
business.
They deserve everything. We know, like if you name, like, we probably name someone now and I won't know them. Most of the time, if you name them, like, I've had some personal interaction with them, you know, at some point, and all the people I know deserve to be where they are. Like WWE did a sneaky one on the scene here. Like they got panicked when they heard that ITV was bringing back the British wrestling.
Alright, yeah.
And it was a smart business move.
What British wrestling was it?
There used to be ITV wrestling back in the day.
Oh, right,
British
right.
wrestling. Never heard of Joint Haystacks.
I do indeed. He was in, was it Clare or Enniscorthy in 1984, done a wrestling event. This bloke is, John, tell me how big Joint Haystack. He is literally a Joint Haystack.
Yeah.
She was on RTE and all. Remember he was on the Late Late. Gay Bourne interviewed him.
Yeah.
And they made a big joint cheer for him and all, yeah.
So they were the ITV. See, there's styles of wrestling. There's two styles of wrestling. Well, there's 3 or 4 styles of wrestling. You have your Japanese style wrestling. You have your Mexican style wrestling.
Yeah.
You have your European style. You have your North American style, and you have your British style.
Right.
It's all different styles. So
Yeah.
back in the day, you had ITV. They had their wrestling show, and about 4 years ago, they were hinting that they were going to set up direct competition with the WWE and hire talent. So before they could do that, WWE came into all the European countries, signed all the decent talent to contracts, and never used them. But had them tied into a contract.
So they couldn't
And
go
they
into
they have
ITV
the
as a
financial-
competitor.
They have the financial muscle to do that.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing
They were
about it.
allowed to perform provided that was not televised or on any.
Fucking hell. And
Oh.
how long will them contracts last? Probably 10 years?
No idea.
No
but
idea.
just
Enough
know-
to put them out of action for not
It
royalties.
was enough to put ITV's
Yeah.
plans on ice.
Yeah, but it never happened.
Stupid cunts should have announced it. And
Yeah,
run
it
it
never
back.
happened. Like, but there were amazing lads who did get signed, who they did use as well. You know. And,
Yeah, because Irish wrestling now is in the mainstream in WWE at the highest level. I don't know what it is, but the Americans just love that.
Fergal David was going to
Yeah.
say, yeah.
wrestles under, is it Finn Balor? Or
Finn Balor, that's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Like he, I did seminars with him, and like he is such an amazing fella, and he's another really humble fella. Like,
Seems like a really down to earth dude.
So-
I watched a few videos.
no,
on
he's
him.
so amazing and humble. Like we ran a small show in Swords one time, and he was only back from a tour of Japan, and he came and watched it in the crowd, and I remember going out to him and shaking his hand and saying, "What are you here in the crowd for?" And he's like, "Well, if I don't come and pay me tenner, I'm not supporting the grassroots that I came from."
Really,
what a legend.
Just an amazing person.
And he's a great physique as well, man. He has like
huge.
he has the looks, he has like the good physique
It's
and
the
all.
physique, the ability, the mic. He's the full package. Like, there's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind that he would deserve everything.
Because there wasn't really Irish wrestlers of notoriety back in the early days. What was that like?
You had Stephen from Cabra, Seamus.
Seamus,
That's
Seamus.
right, yeah.
Is he still going?
Is he from Cabra? I thought
He's from the north side anyway.
No, he's Cabra.
Cabra boy,
Yeah. I'm talking about in the early days, like probably in the 90s. There wasn't Irish, like you're saying, like before you, there was no Irish wrestling on the
They
scene.
had the Irish whip wrestling who were around before us. And they
That's
were very
right,
popular.
yeah.
I trained a couple of times in their school, and they had a lot of outside talent come in, D'Lo Brown, and remember them?
Yes, I do.
They had a lot of activity, but they imploded from the inside. You know, they didn't have the family connection where everyone worked with one another, and eventually the whole thing collapsed inside.
Yeah.
Basically, to the point where Simon Rochford was the guy who promoted, and he had through all them years he built up all the connections.
Yeah.
Basically, he only had like 6 wrestlers, and he used to do all the shows with like 6 wrestlers and just put masks on 2 of them for the main event. You know, like
Talk about recycling.
so you can tell what type of quality that was going to be. You know, so they kind of like they all just seemed to fall out of one another. Like IWW started strong, and eventually. Lenny was there, he branched off with me and made NSW. Joe was there, he branched off with Jamie and made NLW. There was another fella, Dave Long, was there, he branched off and made DCW, because like everyone just.
When you say Joe, is that Joe Cabret?
Yeah.
He was in the WWE as well, wasn't he?
He
for a short time.
for the WWE, but he just wanted to do his own thing.
I want to call it the WF because that's when
that's what I grew up. Yeah,
obviously the legalities, they had to change the name, which is dreadful. Like, but I understand why. Like,
it is what it is.
Joe would be a friend of mine, and he's another amazing fella as well.
He's a good wrestler as well,
and he's just so passionate about Irish wrestling and about having a level of ability that he left the WWE to come back to continue at his passion. Like, he's just another amazing person.
He never wanted to stop. That's why when he came back, like
it's just amazing workhorse.
Because I was checking up, like we've definitely got like some. I mean, there's some interesting talent. There's like you said Fergal. You have like you have. I'm trying to think of a good one. You have 2 big ones. I don't know if the first one's that big, but Northern Ireland has 2 wrestlers that I researched. You've got Killian Dane, aka Dano O'Connor. Do you know him?
No,
6'4", 322 pounds.
No.
He's the giant motorcycle beard man. And then obviously you've got Finley and his Finley with his sidekick Hornswoggle. and they're
probably the only
they
ones.
were the WF as well.
Yeah.
Or WWE, whatever you want to call it now. Ireland has some good talent, you know.
Well, it did breed. You had Finn Balor, you had Baylor, you had
Seamus,
Joe Cabret.
Yeah.
You'd have there was women, there was Rebecca.
That's what's that you mentioned earlier? Where's she from again?
Becky Lynch was now in the
she's
league right now.
Yeah,
she's for a female like wrestling, you can't get any more than.
Where's she from? She's from Dublin, is she? Or
She's from.
I think she was born in Limerick and then grew up in Dublin.
They were the Becky Lynch and Seamus or Stephen. They were the lads. They were the generation before me. You know them. You know.
Yeah.
Then we had. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head who else came through. There was Jordan Devlin signed to the WWE now. He was another.
Oh man. He was a prospect at the time,
Yeah, he was kind of trained by. Don't want to use his stage name. Fergal Devlin.
Yeah.
He was like his understudy. He's an amazing wrestler now. I don't know. He's one of the most amazing workers, as we call him, I've ever seen. His name is Paul Tracy. Amazing worker. This guy could get a match out of a sack of potatoes. That's how amazing he was, you know. Absolutely amazing. If you ever want to see good, solid wrestling, look up Paul Tracy matches. The Lord of the Manor, Paul Tracy.
The Lord of the Manor.
He is
I love the names wrestlers have.
I can picture him right now in a big robe or a big house coat or something like that.
He was kind of very. He reminded me of. Do you remember Hunter Hearst Helmsley?
Triple H before.
Do you remember he used to come out?
yeah.
He reminded me of that.
Yeah.
He was like the Lord of the Manor. He had the mic skills, the wrestling ability, the physique. He was just an amazing wrestler. There's another fella part of the Hooligans called Paddy Morrow. He's actually another. The guy could have wrestled anywhere he wanted, you know. He's absolutely amazing.
He's just pure talent.
Pure, just amazing wrestler, amazing ability. You know, absolutely, like for the country that was never on the map for wrestling, like just produced this well of talent, you know, and like, I mean, amazing talent.
Apart from you being a promoter, was there a wrestler inside?
Me, I wrestled a lot.
We have to get this out here, you know.
Yeah, but my name, I was John The Convict Cormac.
I love it, man. Brilliant.
Good.
My name wasn't a gimmick. I signed out of prison and stepped into wrestling, you know. It wasn't a gimmick.
Yeah. No gimmick behind it, yeah.
No, and
there was truth behind that name.
yeah, I used to enjoy wrestling. I enjoyed everything about it. From
You're in good shape as well. I checked out a few of your
well, I used to work out like twice a day.
Yeah, you could see it,
Yeah, I used between diet, exercise, and training. Like I was one of these people that when I put my mind into something, I obsessed on it.
Yeah.
You know, so other people would train 2 hours, I'd train 6. Other people would work out once, I'd work out 3 times. Other people, you know, I just loved I loved learning the skill of wrestling and then being involved. I just loved everything about it.
What weight were you like?
It was about 240 pounds at the heaviest.
You know.
Shit, you were a wrecking machine. Because
Proper,
in the pictures you have that I've seen, like you're not holding anything in there. Like
No.
you're just big, but you're in shape.
Yeah, I was never ripped, but I was rugby player type of big.
Yeah.
And I loved wrestling. I loved being involved in it. Just working with all the people I've named, I enjoyed working with them.
Yeah, and you get to know some really good names, and and they stand to you if you keep down to them, and there's something for you to. That's your legacy. You know.
Yeah.
John, 2 questions while you're a wrestler. What was your favourite match, and then what was a match that just didn't go right for you?
Bringing up
I know that touchy
you opened
subject.
up a few old wounds there, John.
No, I can tell you straight off the
Even
mark.
just your favourite match. then was the
No, I
one.
can tell you both. I'm not that sensitive about myself.
Yeah. All right.
One of my favourite matches was there was a tag team called Thunder and Lightning, and they were from Inchicore. And we had a show in Inchicore for a different promotion. I was quite a hired, I wasn't promoting.
Right, okay.
And I was the convict versus the 2 homeboys. It was 2-on-1 because I was big and they
Yeah,
were
of course,
small,
yeah.
You know, but because they were local lads, the crowd was just so hot for them. So when
you were the heel for
when
them.
I was beating on them, like you could actually see the front row go, you know, and you could see their nannies go holding their heads, and you could see their mates and all, like really having to be restrained from the barriers and all, you know. I loved when the crowd got into it, you know. I really did, and wrestling them 2 was probably one of my favourite matches, just because
Of the whole atmosphere.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. It was just amazing experience, you know. Just to you know you're kind of doing it right when the crowd are actually so engulfed in it. You know? And like when the 2 of them, like eventually the 2 of them beat me, and the place literally, like they kind of
Just exploded.
The way the match finished was the 2 of them hit me with something, and they both laid on me for the pin, you know, for the 3. And as soon as they won, it was like place exploded and I rolled out of the ring and the people were giving me loads in the crowd, you know. It was just that was probably my favourite match of all time.
Oh, brilliant! And then the two lads were like just basically just
gods for the day.
yeah, gods for that moment.
The not so good match was so also for the same promotion, but it was in the Green Isle Hotel, and I was wrestling a fella called the Snake Man, Vic Viper. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He was an IWW original, but then I stupidly got up on the top rope, forgetting that the ceiling was low, and when I jumped to I think I was doing a drop kick off the top rope, my head hit the ceiling and my whole head came open.
Whoa!
So the blood just went everywhere, and you know.
So that was special effects. You couldn't even.
But the match had to be like stopped.
Had to stop straight away.
Taken to Tala Hospital and get my head glued back together. Like,
go away.
Yeah.
Just split it straight open.
Yeah, I hit like you can imagine. I don't know. Do you know? See, that's what I hit there. See
the corner.
Yeah. I don't know if you know, but inside them is a steel beam with wood. So basically what you have is an RSJ steel beam.
Yeah. The support.
And then you have a piece of wood that's kind of shot into that to hold it there so the plasterboard can
be screwed into
it. So that's what and because I didn't know, I jumped with full force.
You went straight into it.
My whole head just came open.
Whoa. You remember much of that after that?
I do. I just remember being covered in blood.
And you know the mad thing is, you probably would have continued.
Yeah, but I just also remember that Vic was such a pro. Like he just literally said to me, "Let me pin you." He was going over that night, and he literally just said, "That's enough. Let me pin you. We're not continuing. We need to get you to a hospital."
Man, that's amazing. Wow. That in that moment of chaos, right, where you're covered in blood and the crowd is probably going, "What is this? Is this made up or is this actually had to happen?" And they're still in that point, and Vic is like, "Just let me pin you and
just take it home."
Yeah, take it home, and then we'll get out of here. Because
still the show must go on.
If you hadn't made a big scene out of that, it would have ruined the actual match part.
He was a nut job that probably would have tried to continue.
That's what I'm thinking.
He was doing you a favour as well.
Nah, he's just looking out the way we look out for him.
Yeah, of course.
He could have,
not doing a favour, he's looking out for you.
He could see what I couldn't.
Yeah. He's kind of saying, right, that's enough. That's enough.
Home, like.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he was concerned.
So it was just taken to Tala Hospital and they glued my head back together with they closed the gaping wound with glue and then put staples.
That's right. Yeah.
Holy crap.
Hold it together.
What was your finishing move?
Yeah.
What was my finishing move?
What was your go-to?
That's a good one, actually. One of my favourite moves was the double A spine buster. I loved executing one of them.
For people that don't know,
can you just explain that verbally?
If anyone is a wrestling fan to watch Triple H, they'll know that he was the type of spine buster. He lifts one side and he turns to the left and plants them down.
Yeah.
I loved that move. Also, originally my finishing move was just the powerbomb.
That's a good move as well, yeah.
And I just...
It's a good goal too.
It's only when you're
on hurts as well.
When you're on such a small scene like the Irish scene, people don't know who you are, so it doesn't really matter what. Nobody knows that's his finisher, you know. You just kind of have to hit something that looks like it's not the window or somebody, you know.
Yeah, for the effect and that,
I was thinking,
I never really...
You'd have
to
just
pick one that day and go, that's what I'm going to do.
Well, something that you've trained on, something that you're comfortable with doing.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I was going to ask you. Would you train one particular move or?
No, you'd learn how to do everything.
Of course,
But you would pick one out that you say, right, I feel comfortable. This one I'm going to do, whatever.
Yeah, I suppose.
You wouldn't try something new on the night. Thinking, I'll give this a crack, or whatever.
You'd always be. You're so trained up. It's like going to school. You do it for so long, you can do it in your sleep.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you just learn how to do these things, and obviously, like a guy like me who's 240 pounds isn't going to be doing assay moonsaults.
You're not going to be doing shooting star presses.
Yeah, you know.
Well, unless you're Brock Lesnar, which how he survived that, I'll never understand.
Yeah,
it's just one of the craziest moves I've ever seen.
Just walk in your window, like, and being honest, like, at the end of the day, if you're good at what you do, you'll be able to win the crowd over with a clothesline.
True,
As much as
that's a tough move as well if you get it right. I tell you, the one that I used to hate when me and my brother used to wrestle was a chop to the chest. Because he would actually really do it to you.
Yeah,
You'd be like,
yeah.
oh, jeez.
Or the you know when you come off the ropes and you jump up with the double leg to the chest.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah.
Because if you miss that, man, you're getting the face kicked off. You know, like in a way.
Do you have any favourite move you used to use?
The razor, what's that? The razor's
The
edge.
razor's
And
edge.
you know, I was seriously right. I was a kid and we were in the front garden and there was a grass front garden.
It was not a 3-year-old back then.
No, it was about to say
It's a tough
7 or
move.
8, and I done that to my friend. I picked him up on my back and I done it. And I fucking nearly killed the fucker, like, you know, like in a way.
Wrestling.
It was such a wrong thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a wrong thing to do as a kid. And you know, we're just inspired. Like, we're just inspired and we're energized by it and we're doing all the all the clothes on and all.
Mine was the pedigree.
Yeah.
I think basically, if you don't know what the pedigree is, you're
the 2 leg
you're basically
thing.
taking their head in between your legs. You're tying up their arms behind them, and then literally you're just jumping down. But it's a very, very
Come here,
dangerous
what was
move.
Bret Hart's one? The figure 4 leg lock thing. Could
Bret Hart
never
done the
get that.
sharpshooter.
The
Sharpshooter, sorry.
Yeah.
You cross the leg over something like that. I could never fucking get that.
Yeah, that's a tough
What's the
move.
one? There was one that you can do where the 2 legs go.
That's
and
the
you sit
Boston
back.
Crab.
Yeah,
I
but
love
the
that.
way
Boston Crab was brilliant.
how did Bret Hart do that? What did he do?
He did
Cross
the
the legs and put
sharpshooter,
it
yeah.
under it.
Yeah, the sharpshooter was a skill.
That's a complex move, man.
But you know, honestly, I don't even it's been so long. Like I've been talking about going back doing a bit of training, but I'd be so rusty on the basics of how to do moves.
Well,
To tell you, like,
Yeah, but it's just like rejigging the system. You just have to get the program working a little bit better. Obviously, the software is still in there. You just need the hardware.
Just don't do it,
It's like your Android needs updating.
Yeah.
I don't know, but then I really like when I was growing up. One thing when I was growing up, it was at a very bad point in my life. You see, now you probably don't know about me, but I'm actually training to be a pastor now.
Okay, yeah, very good, yeah.
Christian church.
Yeah.
And I always remember one of the big things for me around wrestling was when I was going to I was in a really bad place where I just used to drink and take tablets on the couch and pass out and come back and pass out. But I always have wrestling DVDs playing
In the background.
Yeah, and I always used to come through at a point, and Shawn Michaels was his return match at SummerSlam against Triple H, and as he came to the ring, he had a T-shirt on him that said Philippines 419, you know, and that signified something for him, and it also signified something for me later on.
Okay, yeah.
Because Shawn Michaels had damaged his back and was told he'd never wrestle again.
Yeah.
And he also had a drug problem.
That's
He
right,
also
yeah,
drove
yeah.
it. He also was a Christian as well. And the slogan Philippines 419 says,
yeah.
I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me. And that's what he was symbolising as he was walking to the ring. They told me I'd never wrestle again.
Yeah.
But I can do all things. Christ
I've
who
seen that
strengthens me.
before. Didn't John Jones have that on his chest as well, or something like
I don't
that? Is
know.
that a biblical quote or
Yeah,
a
it's
biblical?
from the Bible, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've seen that before. Yeah.
So I found myself then in a rehab centre, ready to give up, and I got a flashback of that T-shirt.
Really?
Yeah.
And because it was a Catholic centre I was in, there were Bibles everywhere, and exactly like that's a Bible quote.
Yeah.
And I opened that at a low point as I was about to give out, and as I read the words on the page, it's like a life came into me. You know?
Yeah, that's amazing.
And all of a sudden I didn't want to give up anymore.
And John, just for like, see the way you said that you had like a problem with the drugs and the drinking, that like, you know the way most people think, oh, it was because I was wrestling or it was doing all the shows or whatever. Can you just like kind of let people know, like, what was it, that, or was it just a personal thing? Like, was it to do with the wrestling, doing the shows every so often? Like, maybe you probably interact. A lot of wrestlers say that's how they end up becoming alcoholics and stuff, because they were on the road and things like that, you know.
Well, wrestling straight off the mark attracts people who are damaged,
Okay.
in my view.
Right.
You know, because nobody wants to be bounced around on their back as a career.
Yeah.
You know, like I always had a wrestling trainer who told me that. He says this game attracts damaged people, and everyone is damaged. No matter what, who you are, you know, there's always something. Even if you had the nicest parents under the sun, there's always something they've
Of course,
done
yeah.
that scarred you. And the thing with wrestling is that you can, you might say because I'm being slammed so much I got hooked on these painkillers, you know. But basically for me, addiction is like it's like a threefold illness. It affects your physically, as in when you take one you can't stop.
Yeah.
It affects you mentally, as in you're obsessively thinking about it. You know, you have this obsessive mind frame of when you're not drinking, you think about how you're gonna get the next one, or if you're trying to stay clean, you're constantly thinking of how you're gonna stay awake. You know, but what's your main thought centered on?
Yeah.
Got a drug, and then the spirit is the one that nobody can fix. You see, if you go to any 12-step program, they tell you need a higher power, because the spirit is the one thing that no hospital, no person, nobody can heal for you. You know, the spirit can't be healed. Only God can heal your spirit. So if you go to a good psychiatrist and sort out the mental side, and you stay away from the first drink, the spirit, the damaged spirit, is this feeling of a hole in your soul that you're convinced if I wrestle and become famous, it'll be filled. If I win the lotto and get lots of money, it'll be filled. You know, you keep stretching the goalpost out so far. It'll never be filled because it's like for most recovering addicts realise the hole has to be filled by a power greater than themselves or God.
It's funny you mention that because we did an episode on alcoholism.
Yeah, one of our first guests was
and he's really amazing, and like now obviously he wanted to be anonymous because his whole philosophy is he gives back but he doesn't want any notoriety or to receive anything from that, which was very powerful, you know. But he gave us a really good insight into
12 steps.
Exactly what you were saying, man. But he talked about like similar to what you're saying about that spirit element as well. Like so,
Well, it is massive when you see people can't get clean because you go out to the world out there, nobody even thinks like you go try talk to a fella at the bus stop about gargling and you'll get a great conversation out and try talk to him about his spirit and you won't be turning back on you.
His face had literally turned to the back of his head.
Nobody wants to talk about it and nobody can understand it. You know, and
some people are probably just afraid to face it.
Yeah, well,
could be as well.
You know, if you have a spiritual sickness, you'll be constantly irritable, restless, and unhappy, no matter what life gives you.
Yeah.
Irritable is in like an itch you can't scratch. You'll be ratty and cranky and giving out and everything. You'll be negative. You know, if you're restless, you won't be able to sit still. Anytime you sit down, you'll be thinking, I have to do this, I have to do that. You just be
constantly distracting yourself.
Constantly distracting. You know, when I was restless, I used to go to the pub when I wasn't drinking, and then I'd want to go to the chipper. Like, why do you think I walked out twice a day when I was, restless? I couldn't sit still. With a head full of thoughts like a washing machine, and they just like eventually it stole me sleep at night. You know, I couldn't sleep with all this stuff
going on,
running around, and then discontent is like, no matter what you get, you're not happy. You get something new, but it's like, how do we describe it? You want a brand new Beamer, and you get it in December. Cruising around it and you're loving it, and then roll on January you fell in it. You get it in 2010, and January rolls on in 2011's version rolls up beside it.
It's like the mobile phone stuff.
Yeah, all of a sudden you want that one.
You pay $1,000 for the Apple 10, and next year it's $1,200.
Yeah.
Plus you need the earphones.
Designed to do that.
So it's $1,500. It's whatever, $1,300, and then next year it's going up to like maybe $2,000.
What I'm saying is that.
No, but I know what you're saying. I'm just trying to say like it's a compulsive thing that people don't realise because they're just not happy in general themselves.
They make up.
They have to use that as a way of convincing themselves that they're happy, but they're truly not.
You're trying to fix the inside with the outside. And
Yeah.
You know, and that's where I was. You know, and wrestling couldn't fix it for me. You know, a lot of people think if you just wear your head down in a sport, that'll sort you out. You know, but we're just so not equipped to deal with things on a spiritual level, you know.
It's true. I never really thought about that. Like when you say to like talk to a person about alcohol, or whatever they can take, but talk about the spirit. There's something ingrained that when you talk about spirit, it's almost like what you're trying to get out of me. Are you trying to manipulate me in some way? There's a resistance. There's a big resistance, in fact, because a lot of faith out there. A lot of people have lost a lot of faith in a lot of things. I'm not talking about religion or anything like that. I'm not really a religious person. I'm a very I wouldn't say an atheist kind of person. I'm spiritual but not religious, if that makes sense. When someone speaks to me about spirits, I'm like, right, what do you know about spirituality? Why should I listen to you off the cuff just about spirituality? You know, that kind of way. It's just like, right, what are you trying to sell me? There's an agenda behind it.
Yeah,
and that's what scares me about when you start getting into the conversation of spirituality. And
come here, I get that, like, because people think, like, the Bible and Jesus and all is a religion, and it's not meant to be a religion. It's meant to be a relationship with, you know, it's not meant to be a religion. You have religion around here has destroyed it, you know.
But see, the thing is there's been so many negative things that have happened within them societies that have basically pushed people, alienated them away because of the thing they're looking at going, not into that anymore. That's not the way it was when I was growing up.
I do get that, but I do say, like you go back to what AA says about a higher power.
Yeah.
Like, the priest is a man. He's not.
He's not the end all.
He's not the higher power.
No.
You know what I mean? And if
he's just a cashier.
But if you put your faith in people, you're always going to be left down.
Of course, exactly.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
You know, the priest kind of stole the spotlight from what he's meant to be projecting.
Yeah.
And then when he fell, everything fell with him.
Yeah.
And I think not only that, but there's a lot of mistrust in it because people are using these things and they're weaponizing them.
Yeah, well, that's
politically, socially, and they're pushing a little thing with them and stuff like that.
That's why it has to be. That's why it has to be a personal thing.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Like,
some religions, like, nearly are like army recruiting, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like that. You need to get a relationship. I got a relationship with God through Jesus.
Yeah.
You didn't get it through a priest. I didn't get it through anything.
Yeah.
Basically, I'll be honest with you, God chose me. I opened that Bible and the word jumped at me. You know, and it didn't come from a man, or it didn't come from, you know, I read it on a wrestler's t-shirt.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels.
That's where it came from, you know. And
did you ever message? I know you probably, I don't know, you would have got a response, but I'm not saying, did you ever message him?
Never did, no.
Man, you should.
Yeah.
Your background and just the fact that, like, what spoke to him spoke to you.
Yeah.
And honestly, you should send him a message.
Yeah.
You know?
You should, yeah.
It'd be a great thing, because the two of you could probably end up having a good conversation, you never know.
Yeah, like, I like to talk to him, but not about wrestling. I just like talking about, as you're training to be a pastor, your life just changes. You're just more interested in.
I think, is he a pastor as well?
I'm not sure. I don't really follow him. Like,
he's not really on the scene anymore.
I thought that's what he was doing.
I couldn't tell you because I'm
I've
so bad on Facebook, and I'm so, you know yourself. You send me a message, you don't hear, but that's why I rang you.
You're from that old category where, like, you'll get a text message or you'll get, like, a phone call, where most people just use, like, the WhatsApp to send. I'm not saying you do that, but, like, I'm kind of, the older I'm getting now, I'm starting to get into that breed where I just would rather call someone. After a while, I can't do like 10 messages. I haven't got the head for it.
Anyone that knows me knows I'm a voice message, a voicemail guy. I can't sit there 10 minutes. Just
it'll
take me.
It's like I can talk to you and have everything sorted in a minute, or we can spend 2 hours sending.
Of course, and at the end of it, you still don't get your point through.
No, because you can never read a message the way it's written.
Have you listened to any of the Joe Rogans? What got me kind of getting back into watching some wrestling and stuff was I watched an episode with Diamond Dallas Page where he came up with his own yoga system called DDP Yoga, and basically I think Diamond had like a big problem with drugs and alcohol. I don't know it was alcohol mainly, but like the yoga got him off it, and then in turn he helped Jake Roberts, Jake the Snake. If anyone remembers Jake the Snake, he used to come out with this gigantic boa constrictor python, and that was his thing. What was his name?
He had it in a sack, didn't he?
Yeah, Robert. He wrestled with WW in Ireland for a lot. He was the first international talent that got across. It's Jake.
Yeah,
Jake the Snake.
Yeah, Jake's episode on Joe is man, Jake had he had a crazy time, man.
Yeah,
Crazy time, drink, drugs, brothers, everything, you name it, man.
I'm very skeptic when you mention DDP yoga. I'm always very skeptic because anything that's used as spirituality is freely given, and then when you see it's this big enterprise that you have to pay for.
Yeah, no,
this is the point I'm
understand
trying to
that,
make.
That's my view. Anything like when I'm giving service to my church, I could be there 6 hours sometimes. I don't get paid. Or
Yeah.
Like my spirit gets paid, but I don't get.
I think his whole thing is he was just like, not only did he help someone out with it, it helped him and helped someone. He's probably just trying to like keep himself afloat in the world with a few quid.
Why doesn't he just be honest about it then?
Well,
You know,
I just feel
he's trying to
like
create a business as well. That's
Yeah,
why I would
well,
look
I
at
suppose,
it.
yeah.
my experience is always God's providence. If you give, you receive tenfold.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree with that as well.
That's just my experience. If I go in and I do have to watch myself when I'm doing things, but sometimes I'll do something and somebody will hand me money, and I literally have to hand it back to them and go, "That's not how this works."
It's not how it works. Yeah.
Not how this works.
I'm not here to gain.
Someone scraped me off the floor. He says 14 years ago now. I'm not. I didn't pay him.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a selfless act, it's selflessness.
And it has to remain that way, because if it doesn't, then it gets capitalised and destroyed.
Yeah,
of course.
So it always has to remain. No access to going, no people to please, no lectures to be endured, no fees to be paid.
Is it a hard thing to do? If you want me asking,
which is
like just to do something completely on a selfless level. You know, like we've all done things on a selfless level.
When your life and sobriety depends on it, it's not.
Yeah, of course.
It's hard for a lot of people to do.
Well, I find
with
you ever
modern
watch
society.
Denzel Washington's speech?
No.
He says that the most selfish
Is this the one in the news report, sorry, is it?
No, he says the most, he's giving a speech to college students as they finish college, and he tells them the most selfish thing you can do is something for someone else, because the feeling you feel inside after you do it, it's just amazing. So you do good things for people, you get lit up inside.
Yeah, of course. You get that fire inside you.
Yeah. You look at like I don't know if you've ever seen his speech, Put God First, to the college students. If you haven't watched it,
check it out.
And I've seen it a lot of his speeches.
It's just like an amazing speech. Like he's like he'd be a Christian as well, you know, and he's an amazing speaker. Like if I didn't know, like I know he's a famous actor and all, but even if he wasn't, I'd still be glued into that speech, you know.
I remember a good one I heard off, I don't know if you know any of the UFC fighters, but there was a guy from Brazil called Junior Cigano
Dos Santos.
Big heavyweight dude who can rock a punch, man. But he was in an interview like with the UFC, and he was like, look, he said, when you're a good person and you do good things, life will give you good things and you'll live a good life. And that always stuck with me, and that was like, that could be 10 years ago or whatever, I don't know, but that thing stuck with me till today, you know. I still remember exactly the words he said, like. So yeah, you're right on good things like that, man. How do you view wrestling today, as opposed to like when it was back in its like heydays with like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Undertaker, you had BX moment. What do you think of it now? Like
the talent nowadays is just as amazing as the talent back then.
Great,
They're just pretty much censored by political views, and you know, WWE changed its policy to target children viewers and took a lot of. You can't have blood, you can't have a chair shot, you can't have a belt shot, you can't, you know, like a lot of stuff.
A lot more sensitive.
There's not more Mick Foley hardcore matches.
It's just bright coloured people, and every wrestler is like given do you remember Boys to the Hood? Message! Every wrestler is like, message! You know, every wrestler is given a, you know, like I love the Ricky, you know, have you seen Ricky Gervais's Golden Globes hosting, did you?
Oh yeah,
yes,
fair play.
That's pretty much like why he's ragging on, like, just leave your political views.
Yeah,
at home and
just
do your
fucking
wrestling.
take your word.
And it's not even them lads that are political. It's, you see, when you're at a level, you don't remember at the
Yes, I
XFW,
do. Yeah.
You try to compete with the National Football League in America. Like, what type of who are the right? Like,
That's because his head got too big.
Yeah.
If you've ever been in America, you'll know how big
I've never been there, to be
the
honest.
NFL is. You know, like
Super Bowl.
Yeah,
you
man.
know,
Everyone-
I think that draws in the for sponsorship. The Super Bowl final draws in the most amount of money. It's something ridiculous, like 3 million a minute or something like that of advertising.
Do you like watching that, do you? I could never grasp it. I tried to watch
I
it.
know I wouldn't watch it, but I realise how big it is. You know.
Yeah. The impact that has over there, yeah.
You know, so then you have a guy who's trying to take
Muscle
over.
in on it.
Has no. It's like Ted Turner in the WCW. He didn't know how to run wrestling, and he competed against WWE, and he hired up all the talent, but he didn't know how to run a wrestling show.
Yeah.
You know, so Vince, in the end, even though he didn't have as much money as Ted, he came out on top.
Yeah.
Then you have Vince, then he taxed the NFW trying to take over that field, and he has no clue how the NFW
I know,
game works.
yeah.
You know,
He's
so
trying to go into waters. He's
tried
never
to-
slamming.
no, he tried to push with wrestlers. Like, he had the opening night, he had The Rock come out and do a promo in the middle of the pitch. A lot of football fans who probably don't even like wrestling, and The Rock's out there raising his eyebrow and shouting down the mic, you know.
Calling people jabronis.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like,
Oh, stop.
have to. If the other side is to be the pulled it off, we'd be saying how great he was. You
Of
know?
course,
So,
yeah. He takes a chance.
chance taker, yeah. And
Well, he obviously seen something that like no one else seen, but
Yeah.
obviously didn't work out. Yeah.
all I'm talking, what I'm saying here now is just my opinion of. I don't know the truth behind it all. I just hear things and giving you my opinion of what I hear. Sure, I could be talking in ignorance. I probably haven't got a clue, you know.
Well, that's it. That's
John,
it. No.
Before we wrap it up, like, because it's been great so far anyway, have you got a moment in wrestling, in your promotions in the wrestling in the Irish scene, where you was one night that just everything went off smooth, precise, and it was probably your favourite moment of the wrestling scene for you in Ireland as a promoter?
Only because nothing ever went off smooth.
There was always hiccups,
yeah. There's always something
yeah.
wrong. Yeah, I just think having just raising the skill up with the lads to what it was just everything for me, you know.
Yeah.
I was on in the ring can only be 10 to 15 minutes, you know, but
Yeah.
the amount of time you spend with the people is amazing, you know. The amount of time was I just loved every minute of behind the scenes, the fun, you know. Like, we used to have some fun, me and Lenny going down Mead Street eating breakfast rolls or giving out flyers, you know.
They're the memories that you
our
have.
job was to buzz around town, you know. Promoting, you know, like, and
You must have had some laugh.
I can
the
imagine.
the best fun we had was when we all went out flyering houses as a group, you know. Just used to have some crack, like. There's actually like a girl, there's a girl now who she's actually rised up. I think she's in TNA. Or wait, no, sorry, she's in Ring of Honor. This is Session Martin.
Yeah.
And she started with us. I met her years ago. I was tag team partners with her boyfriend. Now he's our boyfriend. Me and him were tag team partners. Johnny Nataro was his name, and like when we met her, Johnny had joined the wrestling, and like we met her in what's the name of the pub in Rathkill there. Do you know the Potchy and Still?
I've
Met her in the
heard
Potchy and Still one Stevens' day. That was the first time I met her with Johnny, and we talked her into coming down and training, you know, and she came and she stuck with it and she worked hard, you know, and now she signed with Ring
Such a
of
great
Honor.
gimmick.
Yeah, but I always remember we went out flyering. It was me, her, somebody else, and we went flyering in the middle of winter in Ballymun.
Oh jeez.
You know, and she wore the wrong attire for cold weather, and she was frozen to the bones. You know.
Yeah.
Remember she was giving out to me, and I went in and I bought her a pair of gloves to warm her hands. You know, but like, and she always says to me to this day, she remembers the freezing cold flyer. Like that's a memory that she even carries from.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
always
yeah,
just
yeah.
around the flyer, and you know. Like, and if you follow her on Instagram now, she's
Yeah, I checked out loads of her
she's
stuff. Like
amazing,
she has like an Adidas tracksuit and she
Yeah.
brings out a can and all.
Yeah,
And
like, she has like I remember I think the one of the latest things she put when I played with John Cena followed her on Twitter, you know.
yeah, she was delighted with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's just like she's such a nice person.
she's
as well.
down to earth. Yeah,
Yeah, such a nice person and hard working and deserves everything she gets, you know.
yeah.
You know, like I had the pleasure of training with her, training her, showing her the few bits I knew. She obviously went on to someone else who showed her more. And, you know, she took everything she was given over it. Which didn't happen overnight for her.
Yeah.
Good long stint. And
It's amazing how like from that moment in that pub where you was just saying, "Come on down and just try it," like to like handing out flyers, and then all the times of just constantly showing up and learning to like how a person who probably at the beginning stage didn't have that much of an interest then developed to be like in the professional scene. Like
yeah, well, I suppose if you ask me what's my happiest moments I've seen people that I've trained with succeed.
yeah, I can
They're
imagine.
my
Yeah.
happiest moments,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Like, I don't really want to be limelight myself, but I love in the corner, man. You know, in the boxing they have the corner.
Yeah. Like Tony Davitt,
Yeah,
one of the legends.
I love helping people to get
Yeah, of course.
to where
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
going.
yeah.
That's more.
That's what
fulfilling
fills
for me.
you, like.
Yeah, we don't do well in the spotlight, but I'm the type of guy if you want to come down and like Carden is her name, she tell you that herself. If you ring me on my day off and I've nothing on and you want me to come down and work with you, I'll drop everything and come down and work with you. 'Cause
Yeah.
I want to see you progress.
And see the way you said you're thinking about shaking off the rust and getting
Yeah.
back into it.
Yeah.
What is main stage is still going
No,
or is it the one in Fitlinks? Is that still going or what?
No, it's the School of Irish Wrestling.
Right.
Now.
Yeah.
It's connected to Over the Top Wrestling,
Okay.
and it's probably the.
Are we going to see the outlaw?
The outlaw.
Oh, the
convict.
convict.
Oh no, I'd
Yeah.
never return to the ring, but I'd love just to get down and be a part.
Yeah.
See people training again. I have 2 kids myself. I'd love them to come down with me and
Yeah.
maybe learn the trade. You know, one child with autism, and what I notice about him is he can't speak yet, and he can't talk, and comprehension isn't great. You know, he's only 4 years old, but he wrestles with me. You know,
Wow.
like we were watching yesterday. I was watching an old match from WrestleMania. It was Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle, and they were having a brawl back and forward. And the young lad come up to me, he looked at the telly, and he went.
Smacked you, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
He loves being like they started to when you have autism, you have this sensory need where you need to be stimulated with
Yeah,
banging and throwing.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
start power slamming him on the bed, and he started loving it. Kind of fulfilled all his sensory
Yeah.
needs.
That could
you
be
know?
a very good engagement for
And
him.
he's so like he can't speak, but he watches what's on the telly, and then he tries to do it to me. Like there's
Yeah.
one time I lie down, he'll actually come over and lift me up by the head. You know.
How strong is he?
Yeah, I taught him how to give me a stunner. He can't speak. He can't speak yet, but he knows how to do a stone cold
Oh,
stunner.
brilliant.
You know what I
Brilliant.
mean? Like he's just
That's that. Get them while they're young.
yeah. Like he can't talk. He's you know, his comprehension isn't great. He's the whole challenge stacked ahead of him with his autism, but he's still able to stunner his dad.
Well,
And for people who don't know,
I have to claim the fame.
the Stone Cold Stunner is where you basically kick them in the stomach and then kind of reverse your back towards them, hook the back of their neck, and then drop your body weight completely down and stun them.
Yeah.
It's a great move, man. I never could be good at it, but it's when to watch someone execute it like Stone Cold or someone who could actually do it. It's a great move, man.
That's the thing. My son is an execute.
Well, then there you go.
Yeah.
Keep at it, man.
Keep
You
at
have
it,
to
yeah.
know.
I'd love to bring them down and
Yeah.
just.
Why don't you?
Well, that's kind of what my aim of getting back into it is, you know.
Yeah.
Everyone else has the GAA, the hurling and the football, you know. Like there was wrestling at my wedding, you know. Like the main event.
Hang on, I have to hear this,
was
yeah.
wrestling, like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like we got married in the Radisson. County Galway, me and my lovely wife Keola, got
Yeah,
married there, and the room basically had 3 sections. Right. There was like, you can imagine there's one big room and there's walls that slide across it, like partition walls. So the whole reception was set up in 2 rooms, and the last wall was partitioned, and everyone just thought it was a wall. And then after I gave the speeches, I introduced, because I used to ring announce as well.
Yeah, did you? Yeah,
I introduced, and they pulled the partition across, and the whole ring was set up. Now Lenny and all the gang come down and set it up, and
Brilliant.
That is amazing.
Isn't it? For a West show, yeah.
good
that's
talent
amazing.
on it. Like Tucker, who wrestles with the WWE now, he wrestled at my wedding, and
Really?
Joe Bray wrestled in WWE.
Joe Bray,
wrestled at my
yeah.
wedding, you know, so it was like, that's my thing, so that's what I'd have the kids. And
That is.
Do you have that video?
the wrestling. It's
I
on
hope
the,
you
on
do.
the wedding video.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
but I hope you have it for personal memories. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. There was a wedding in India, and there was a guy who's like the biggest fan of the Undertaker, and basically like he dresses up as the Undertaker, and his wife is at like the altar, right?
No way.
And he comes out to like, you know, like
The
Undertaker was
music.
like bong, right? And it's all diddling with the organ grinding in the background, right? And he walks up to his wife like with that music on, and he has like the white paint on his face and all, man. I just thought that was
Wow.
that's unique, but your one is your one's on another level. You had a show, and all
Show,
of yours,
yeah.
man.
It's like 3 wrestling matches as part of the entertainment after this.
Brilliant.
Before we let you go, John, have you any crazy stories of you with wrestlers, or anything that went on that you thought like that's a story that like I have to get it out? For like let's say just now, give me them crazy stories that went on in the wrestling that you just thought, oh my god, this is a mad night.
I probably do, but as you say it to me now, I just
You're trying to rejig the memory.
it's been like
Whose reputation are you gonna ruin?
no, like come here. I wasn't. See, I didn't. I went for a large part of my career. I didn't drink and party, so when they all went off to do their thing, I just either got the lowest home.
Yeah.
You know, like I can guarantee you, people could probably when I was active drinking and drugging and in wrestling, people would probably be telling you stories about me. You know,
because I think you remember you saying like that you had like what is Scotty too high that you had was it Chinese awareness and it surprised you.
No, that's not really a bad story. Like me.
No, it's not. No, I don't mean a bad story. I just mean any like that kind of story.
Yeah,
you know.
No, when we heard Spock Ireland on the show, he had a second night in Nice, and I was invited down to the show in Nice, and after the show, the promoter was like, "Come on, we all go for dinner in Nice," you know.
Yeah.
Scott was hungry, so we stopped off at like this restaurant in Nice. Can't even remember the name of it, but anyone who knows Scott knows he's ripped. You know, like his physique is like amazing. You know, and we sat down to eat, and when you're in the wrestling world, like you eat clean. You know, you just eat clean. You're eating chicken breasts and eggs and
Take your vitamins and eat your chicken.
And I'm looking at Scott, and I'm going, what is he gonna order? What's the secret to this physique? You know, and I'll have the curry, please. You know, you got this curry. I just couldn't get over, like, you know. I was like, right, nearly pen and paper out. Let's find out what this fella eats when he goes to a restaurant, you know. And he just
that normal
gets what
stuff.
everyone gets.
Yeah, that's what everyone gets because they're just normal people.
Yeah. I think that's the thing you have to remember about them, you know. Like I did as part of being training to be the pastor, I did a sports ministry course, you know, how to work with athletes who have faith. You know?
And
One of the things we touched on it was how these people, when their careers are over, just, you know, they just crash because they're so built into. They're so like you probably seen it with footballers as well. Premier League footballers, when their career is over, they don't even know how to make a cup of tea for themselves. You know, because they've had everyone do everything
for them, everything done for them.
There was some footballer, I can't remember his name, but he developed serious mental problems when his career came to an end because he didn't know how to live outside of the football. And that's what happens to a lot of these wrestlers, you know, they get their time in the spotlight and they soak up, because not everyone can be like The Rock or Shawn Michaels and have this Hall of Fame led career, you know. You have lads who kind of they're there for a couple of years and then they're released.
And they don't know what to do with themselves.
You know, they bounce around scenes like ours for a while. You know, and the sad thing is, you usually read a tweet or a thing like RIP.
Jesus,
You know, they've either overdosed or they've come, like, two things that you nearly hear when arrested. Like, I don't, like, I can't count on my hand, you know, the rest of stuff died from natural causes. Very rarely hear he died from natural causes. It's either an early heart attack, an overdose, or they take their own lives.
And the heart attack, do you think, is that because of the drugs?
When you hear a young person taking a heart attack, and
you kind of put two and two together, unfortunately.
you know, when you hear someone like in their 40s who's supposed to be super fit and
healthy
physically
and strong,
and all of a sudden they've taken a heart attack. Now, I'm not a doctor, but
I know.
when you hear heart attacks are taken,
you can put one.
And you hear drug overdoses and
overstimulants. What do you think of the wrestling scene? No, I'm not saying the Irish, but just the whole wrestling scene in general of the steroid scene within it. Is it
in Ireland?
No, probably not in Ireland, but it wouldn't be in Ireland. It would just really be in the main.
I'd say it's for very rarely. If you watch the wrestling now, you'll see that a lot of lads aren't taking it.
I can see that their physiques, they're not as jacked as the Warrior or
they're super athletic, but they're not.
Back in the day, Hulk Hogan, them guys, man, they were pumping some shit.
Look at Lex Luger.
Back in that day,
how jacked he was.
They wouldn't have known what they were. They wouldn't even know what they were putting into themselves. You know, steroids would have been fairly new then.
A lot of people forget that back in the day.
No one told Mexico anyway.
No one told them that you know, a few down the years, this could affect your liver, organs, heart, whatever it may be. Just thought, man, this is fucking great shit, man. You know. I don't have to spend 2 days in bed on painkillers and group days resting away I go again.
Well, you can imagine what that can do to your body. You're taking coke on a Monday, drink on a Tuesday, steroids every day of the week. You know,
and painkillers.
You know,
because of the damage in your body.
You can imagine what a cocktail of that can do to a body, like.
Yeah, and they were doing.
And it can turn you suicidal and then also super aggressive.
Yeah.
And like you're saying there, John, not that happens in the Irish scene. You're saying I don't know, but when the big stars come out of it, withdrawn from that as well adds to their mental decay, their physical decay.
They don't know what to do.
You think, what the fuck? Can you imagine they don't know that's bleeding night or day? Probably something.
Yeah, of course. Because they're used to being the hot shot, and now they're like, what the fuck? I'm nothing now.
Yeah.
You get the 2 years on the indie scene where they're still relevant before people forget who they are.
And I didn't know, I don't know what the scene is like now, and I'll be straight honest with John. You're saying, it's that you can see in the physiques maybe that they're not doing it anymore. Maybe not doing it as much.
Watch the wrestling. They're not the way they used to be. There's no
they're
way.
They're just naturally fucking athletic, like you're saying.
There's no way they're like the way they were in growing up in what would you say, like the 95 to 2005.
Drug tested and everything now.
But that's good.
They have more of a fighter's watery style look.
But they have to rely on their skill set as well.
Yeah,
their skill set has to be on point.
As opposed to the Brian Pillman.
Well, you know, back in the day, they got away with a lot of shit. Yeah.
But you look at
they got away with a lot of shit.
The guy was watching the Royal Rumble. I think it was the 2020 Royal Rumble, and all the big lads that were enormously big, you could see there was a lot of fat. It wasn't like. You know, I didn't see him when I seen I didn't know to slate anyone's physique, but when I seen Brock Lesnar coming down at the start of the 2020 Royal Rumble, you could even see the fat. The layer of fat kind of.
And he's definitely a guy who abused steroids.
And he's definitely not, I wouldn't say he's taking that anymore, you know.
Yeah, he's off it, But he nearly died, didn't he? He had that diverticulitis.
What I'm saying,
diverticulitis was basically he was eating so much meat. Apparently, he had in his intestinal tract, he got a rip in it, and I never heard of diverticulitis till that, but it almost killed him.
Yeah, leaks
he's some career he had, man. He went from.
Yeah. Well, like you're saying, in a long-term kind of thing, that's great. Okay, that's great, because then you don't have to worry about Brock Lesnar having withdrawal, major, massive withdrawal kind of things at the end of his career. He knows, right, your career's coming to an end, I'm off the shit. So anything can be dealt with before the WWE release him.
Brock Lesnar is at a caliber of a level that he'll never be forgotten.
Yeah,
No,
he's
that
up there.
superstar.
He's a
Yeah,
superstar.
of course,
Yeah.
man.
In history, basically.
Yeah, you're talking about kind of the
Hall of Famer.
Did
really,
he play
as
football
well.
as well?
yeah
He did.
he did
He's a UFC champ as well.
Yeah.
He's done
an
everything.
amateur wrestler.
He was athletic as well for a big guy, man. He
Yeah.
was super athletic.
Yeah, of course he was the size of the fucker, Jesus.
He I don't know. I don't even know much about Brock Lesnar other than what I see on the WWE.
Yeah.
But
He's a private man, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think they have a media ban on any family images of his wife and kids and all like that.
Yeah.
He's right to do that.
Absolutely,
As well,
at the level that he's at, like, you know, he doesn't want what he's done, probably sinking into his family, I understand that, yeah. And it just goes to show, like, yeah, you know, we are happy that the Irish scene is good, it's not going corrupt, steroids, and they're
just because of the pandemic, they can't get.
they're relying
shows
on the skills.
And obviously, over here in this prison, like you will never, like, they just won't let anything with big numbers go unless they're all vaccinated. So I don't know what way that's going to go.
Yeah.
How are you going to get vaccinated people going to the GAA hall? Like
The shows are happening in England again, so that's like
that's a
everything's
positive
happening,
sign. Yeah.
Come here, like he was talking to the promoter today of OTT, and he just says, you know, he's ready to roll as soon as restrictions are lifted, you know.
Good. Yeah. Okay.
He's
So,
ready to go.
If one of the shows come on, man, I'm going.
Fucking right. I need to get my head back in.
I'll get Charlie and my
But
son.
listen, if I jump the ring, will you not fucking kill me?
Not be there, man. I'm a taxi driver now. After.
I'm gonna put an online bet. Right, give me your best offer if I jump a chair into the ring and start wrestling one of the guys. What are you gonna do for me? What's the name or price? That's to our listeners. That's
So
the challenge.
before we let you go, have you anything that you want to finish up on, or
It's just my life now is just calm and
Yeah.
you know, I enjoyed my time in wrestling and I'd love to try it out and get my boys interested in it, but I'm kind of more focused now on my career as a pastor, you know. That's where
that's
I'm
good,
heading now.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd say there's purpose in it. I've done a sport, as I was telling you, I've done a sports ministry course, you know, and maybe that's where I'll head now. I'll probably head back into the wrestling game with
that
that type of thing and be
Yeah,
able
that's
to
cool,
offer
yeah.
people support around stuff, you know.
that's unique, because I can't imagine there's many people that do that.
I can't imagine, yeah.
That's what
I'm not saying that there isn't, but I don't know personally.
that's the future for me. Like, I drive a taxi now and I get the privilege of being able to speak to so many. Well, before the pandemic I got to be able to speak to
So many
so
people.
many different people, and just to be able to, you'd be surprised. There's three people that people who are suffering open up to: the priest, the barman, and the taxi driver. They're the three people that actually open up to. You know, so we've had many conversations with people in cars, and you just feel blessed to be given the privilege. You know, so that's what I do enjoy. I just enjoy.
You enjoy giving back.
You enjoy being. As your man, what's his name, Dustin Poirier said in his fight with McGregor, I enjoy being a light for when people are in darkness.
Good way of looking at it, yeah.
That's what I enjoy being. I just know God puts me in the right space at the right time to talk to the person. You know, and that's.
It's great to
Like,
hear.
I don't even go to work to make money. Well, I do, but a lot of the time I'm driving out and I'm going, right, who
Who do you interact with?
You say to God, who are you going to put into my taxi tonight? You know?
It's great. Like, wow, what a journey.
Yeah.
Journey, John, really.
Yeah, John, listen, honestly, thanks very much for taking the time. I know it's gotten a little bit late tonight, but you gave us more than enough of your time, and we really appreciate it, man.
So I gave you what you were looking for.
Oh no, we had a great chat,
Just,
man.
conversations, get to know you.
Yeah,
John's
yeah.
been talking about you for a while,
Yeah.
and man, I was like, man, I have to talk.
It was touch and go. I didn't know if we'd get you on or not, but look, here we are now, and it's been a great episode.
It was
man.
things like first the shutter wouldn't open, then the road was blocked.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
We got you down here. Maybe that was God telling us.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
we wanted you
Jesus,
down
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. Sorry for the Jonty Convict podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah,
Listen, thanks very much, John. A great pleasure. Hope to do you justice by getting this out here. And please, if you're listening to this, give us a like, share this with friends, share this with family, and anyone else that you think that can benefit from this. So
and just enjoy, you know, we're putting this out there, so make sure you go onto our Facebook and Instagram and like it. We need you, alright?
yeah, thank you very much, guys. All the best.